Chair, you're live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Annapolis Board of Appeals special virtual meeting for October 19th, 2022. This meeting is being broadcast on the City of Annapolis YouTube channel. My name is Bob Gallagher. I chair the Board of Appeals. This virtual format allows the public to observe the meeting through the video link and to submit written comments through the City of Annapolis website. Links to the YouTube channel, the comment form on the city's website, and to a database for case information regarding cases we'll be hearing tonight may be found on the agenda for tonight's meeting. The folks that you see on the screen are the members of the Board of Appeals. When a case is called, the representatives of the parties to the case will also appear on the screen. And joining us tonight as a full member of the board is Robert Hector. Welcome, Mr. Hector. So also participating in the meeting tonight are our recording secretary, Kim Consoli, our broadcast technician, Julian Jock. Also participating may be representatives of the city attorney's office, board counsel tonight represented by Sarah James, Jackie Rouse, who's the liaison to the board from the planning and zoning staff, and possibly other members of the planning and zoning staff. Any public comments received by noon today and matters before the board this evening have been provided to the board and the parties and will be made part of the record. We ask everyone but members of the board to mute their audio. If anyone else wishes to speak during the meeting, please raise your hand and I will call on you to speak. I'd like to remind everyone that communication with the board about any case by anyone other than a party to the case must go through the comment form on the city website. All communications by parties must go through board liaison Jackie Rouse. No one should contact any member of the board directly. So we'll begin the meeting tonight with call the roll. I'll ask Ms. Consoli to call the roll, please.
Mr. Gallagher,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Present.
Mr. Hector,
Present.
Mr. Zazali.
Here.
We're not expecting Dr. Chen. Mr. Chairman, we have 4 present.
Thank you, Kim. All right, Mr. Zazali, have you reviewed the record before the board and the 2 variance applications?
I have. I watched all 51 minutes and 51 seconds of the YouTube channel.
Congratulations and thank you. So you feel like you're ready to participate in our disposition of these cases?
I do.
Good. So we'll proceed on that basis. So we have a quorum. Have the members of the board had a chance to review the agenda? I'm sorry, that will stop shortly. Sorry. Any comments, corrections, suggestions for the agenda?
I move the agenda be approved.
Is there a second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. Then we have the minutes for October 4th, 2022. Have you all had a chance to review the minutes? Any corrections or additions? No? Not hearing any, will I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to motion to approve the minutes as follows.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. The minutes are approved. So I think we are first, the agenda says we'll first take up the motion for an extension. Let me get my hands on the right documents for that. We have a request for a second 6-month extension in special exception 2021-003 relating to the proposed juice bar at 82 Maryland Avenue. The applicant has timely requested an extension in writing stating that the project will not be completed by January as required. She attributes the delay to supply chain and construction issues resulting from the pandemic. The applicant asserts that she is working with the city on permits and that the project should be ready to open by March. Jackie, does the city recommend approval of the extension?
Yes, we're recommending approval of the extension request, and is present if question.
Are there any questions from the board?
No.
No, sir.
Nope, we're quite sympathetic to supply chain disruptions. So
I'm sure you are. Would anyone like to make a motion?
motion to approve the second extension to the applicant's.
Second.
What was it, appeal or variance? I forget which one it was.
Special exception.
Yes,
Special exception, that's what I meant. From this date or from the date of the termination of the
The expiration of the initial
expiration of the initial extension.
extension. Great. All right, I heard a second from Mr. Hector. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, congratulations. You've got your extension. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
So next item, we'll resume the public hearing on variance application 2022-006. Variance application by Marie Clampett, owner, for reduction to interior side yard setback for construction of an attached carport at 1207 McKinley Street. Jackie, any additional public or any public comment?
Well, Kim Burke is here. She's the, Kim left. No, there hasn't been any additional public comment on this.
She is here, Jackie. She just.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Kim Burke, who was the project planner, is present. I don't believe the applicant isn't, but is here.
That's fine. That's fine. We wouldn't expect to hear any new evidence in any case unless members of the board have a question. Are there any members of the board?
I just have one question at the chairman's discretion. I don't know if it's permitted, but it may be considered entering of evidence. But there was reference to an adjacent carport. And I didn't hear whether that carport was conforming or was permitted under a variance or what.
Kim, was that addressed in the previous?
It wasn't, there
materials?
was no, can everybody hear me? Sorry,
Yes.
my audio wasn't working. There was, I think it's just been there since it looks like the house was originally constructed. There's
Okay,
no permitting or anything for it. It's been there for a long time.
So
Okay.
it's existing. So
Yes.
we're not admitting any new evidence on that score.
okay. Then I was just curious about that, but that's it for me.
Are we ready to proceed with deliberations?
Yes.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Hector. It's our tradition that we ask the junior member, offer the junior member of the board the first opportunity if they have any comments on in our deliberations.
I think it should be granted. She has did due diligence in expressing her case, and I think we should go ahead and grant her.
All right, Mr. Walsh.
I agree with my colleague, Mr. Hector, that the applicant has pursued diligently her case and has presented sufficient evidence to meet the standards for a variance approval.
And then Mr. Zazali.
Anything else I have to add to that wouldn't be worth adding.
I have to agree with all of you. Would someone like to make a motion?
Mr.
I
Hector, it's all yours.
motion that it move forward with approval.
So second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, it's approved unanimously. Thank you, Kim, for your enlightening presentation.
Thank you.
Presentation. pass our congratulations along to the applicant.
I will. Thank you.
So we will ask council to make sure we have a written decision ready to issue in 30 days. All right, we'll next resume hearing in variance 2022-001, variance application by Joanne Shelley from the critical area requirements of code section 2154-080H in order to fill to grade a steep slope at the rear of the property at 77 Conduit Street. Reference subsection 080H prohibits the development of a slope with a grade greater than 25%, unless the proposed development is the only means of stabilizing the slope. The staff and the Critical Area Commission have recommended denial. The board heard at some length from Ms. Shelley at the last hearing, and we appreciate her testimony. We've received a letter from Ms. Shelley. In the meantime, we held the record open until the 10th, I believe it was. We thank her for that response. So in that response, she indicates that she has no additional evidence that the project she proposes is the only means of stabilizing the slope. In fact, it looks like the slope has pretty well stabilized itself. The board will recall that Ms. Shelley candidly testified that her engineer, when asked to testify, that the activities contemplated by the proposed variance were the only means to stabilize the slope, opined that he, to the contrary. So we commend Ms. Shelley for her candor. I haven't seen any other public comments. If I'm wrong about that, please correct me, Jackie.
We have not received any additional comments.
So any questions from the board? No.
Mr. Chairman, I know that we had asked Ms. Shelley, and I believe her letter it stated that we had asked if she could find other means, alternate means, other than this avenue, and I believe her letter stated that she could not. It consists of what you just said about being unable to provide further evidence.
So thoughts from Christian?
Well, there's a couple of points that I found troubling, particularly one that the 85-degree slope, as the city somehow attested that it were provided for, it certainly exceeds the 25%, but it's existed as such since 2004 when you took the property. It hasn't gotten steeper when you bought it, right? So it's been stable for 18, or it's been in a state of stasis for 18 years, and it was only through your actions that it became unstable. Is that, do I read that incorrectly? Devegetation or herbicide? Is that correct?
Are you asking for new evidence?
No, I'm just rehashing the things that give me pause here. And I have a strong preference to follow the city and the critical areas recommendation. The evidence leads me to believe that a thoroughly exhaustive investigation of other means to stabilize the slope has not actually been performed, since no evidence. We don't have evidence from a civil engineer or a landscaping architect or anything contrary to refute that, to overcome the requirement that if no other method, only when no other method is available. It's along those lines that I'm troubled by the application.
And Mr. Hector, any thoughts?
I agree with Christian.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to deny any request from a nurse.
Thank you.
And
Wait a minute, I didn't know that.
in this case, I don't think we have a choice in the matter, and I think Ms. Shelley probably understands that by now. the statute is pretty clear that if there's any other means to stabilize it, we can't really approve the exemption, and that's where I am too. So.
Mr. Chairman, the question I have for us to consider, and Jackie, along with the recommendation of denial, is the further recommendation that puts upon Mrs. Shelley the requirements that she take the other three conditions of temporarily stabilizing with matting, a landscape plan to revegetate the slope, with the approval of the Historic Preservation Commission process within 30 days, replanting the slope shall occur within 30 days of approval. I guess this question is more for staff, Jackie. Since you,
No, let me interrupt you.
Okay.
If I can, let me exercise my prerogative as chair. Yes, the staff recommended denial with conditions. And if you read through the code, section 160D3 confers the power to order such restorative relief as are found in those conditions on the director and not on the board. So the board doesn't have any authority to order the conditions mentioned by staff. And I think staff recognizes it now and has at least informally indicated that they don't intend, that they don't expect the board to impose those conditions. It's up to the director to do that.
thank you.
So that's not even a question before us. So
That is Board of Appeals all-star play there, Mr. Chairman. I'm impressed.
okay, so it sounds to me like we're anticipating a motion to deny the application. I think that's, in my mind, that's the right thing to do. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion to deny the appeal based on the evidence submitted and not conforming to the necessary requirements to allow the application to be approved.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Again, we appreciate your candor and your understanding, and I hope you and your neighbors can work things out. It's a wonderful town, it's a wonderful neighborhood, and you've got a great spot there, and we want you to be happy. So work things out with the neighbors, and we'll look forward to seeing you around town.
I'm sure there's, yeah, and get some counsel, and there may be yet a path forward. This was just not it.
All right. So we'll excuse Ms. Shelley. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So at the last meeting, Christian, we, as an administrative matter, we talked about some scheduling.
I was hoping you were going to say you talked about me, but that's it.
You didn't see it on the 5151, did you?
I did not. I looked hard towards the end, and we never got there.
I think it's our responsibility periodically to consider at what point we need to resume in-person meetings. And we talked about that a little at the last meeting. My own view is because the infection rate in Maryland is still higher than the health people would like it to be. There's a risk of another winter surge, and most of the other boards and commissions continue to meet virtually. My suggestion would be that we push over a decision about resuming in-person meetings probably until the spring. And I welcome thoughts any of you might have on that.
At least till it's light out at 7 p.m. again.
Yes, light is a disinfectant, isn't it?
Yes. No, I would, is there any public feedback? Does anybody feel that the board has not performed its duties to the fullest extent possible under these current pandemic conditions?
Well, there have been some suggestions, I don't know how many, that we allow the public to testify through the Zoom link. And maybe one or two of the other boards have done that. And that was going to be the next subject I was going to take up.
I have no strong objection to that. I mean, unless it becomes abused and, you know.
My thought on it is that, but based on our experience with in-person hearings, it's inevitably going to take a little longer to hear
Sure.
from people through the Zoom link. On the other side of that equation, and that's not an obstacle. I mean, we used to have in-person meetings that would last until 10 or 11 o'clock. But on the other side of that is that I believe, since we started these virtual meetings, we have, in order to give the public an opportunity to comment on evidence that comes up during the hearing, we've always continued the hearing for 2 weeks or a month till the next hearing. But if we gave people the opportunity to comment through the Zoom link, we wouldn't have to do that. So unless council or staff at some point tells me my analysis there is wrong, it seems to me that should we decide to do that, we might have a better chance of getting back to our old once-a-month meeting schedule. So let's
How's our
think-
how's our caseload been? Like a year-over-year number of that we've heard? Are we down, up, even?
Jackie, how would you respond to that?
I feel like, I think we're down. We have not had, mainly because we have not had any appeals recently. Those really seem to take a lot of time. But, we're very supportive of the let people testify and just have one meeting. I think it, and then one and done. And that would be, in most cases, a really, be good for the public and for the board. We're canceling the November 1st meeting. We have nothing to schedule. And I don't even think that we have, at this point in time, I don't know of anything we have to schedule for the November 16th. So
I
I
ju-
think,
I just-
we seem to be in a down period right now. I don't know why that is.
Let's just call it a period of efficiency. I wonder if we would be alienating or Zoom, while it's almost ubiquitous in certain aspects of the world, but is everybody is it available to everybody to join and get their camera working and testify who wants to testify? Or
Right. Well, I think one of the things that Mark or Julian, whoever's managing the meeting, does when people, they have a list ahead of time. If we have people from the public testifying, say at planning commission or whatever, they will talk to them before the meeting starts and ask them if they want to just make sure their camera's working and everything. I mean, planning commission is doing that. They're doing live testimony, and
Okay.
Port Wardens, as I understand it, is also doing it. And I think HPC may also additionally
Yeah,
be,
if I can jump in, Jackie, yeah, we always
Julian, yes, go Julian.
start a meeting a half hour early so that if anyone from the public wants to join and wants to just make sure things work, they can.
Perfect.
Planning Commission is a good example though, versus you guys. They do have public testimony, but they also still do hold their meetings open, an extra meeting for
Who
public.
does that?
Planning does.
Seems to
Okay.
be the most accommodating version of both worlds.
Well, let's give staff and council time to think about that and make sure that we have a correct understanding. And
Well, we have talked about it internally at current Planet South meeting, and I think Kevin has told me that Port Wardens is only doing one meeting with testimony, and HPC is only doing one meeting with testimony on projects. Now, a lot of the projects that, for example, go to HPC, they first go as work, like what is really a work session, and then they go back again and everything. But when they get to the public hearing part, they're just doing one.
we don't need to rush in anything.
Yeah, and Bob, I
Okay.
would say that I think the chairman has discretion. If the cases are simple and the testimony was null, maybe we take it case by case. I don't know.
Right.
Mm,
Well,
not-
one of the things
like
that
to
we
think
do
about that.
currently is that it's actually on the agenda, that it's being
Oh,
held open until the
right.
next meeting, but you
Mm.
can always continue a hearing.
Right, and there are no cases being continued tonight.
Mm-mm.
So my suggestion again would be that we soak this a little bit until the next meeting and then make a decision.
The Navy bean approach. I like it.
That sounds fine to me.
And staff will
And if Sarah
report
has
back on
any
how well planning.
advice for us at that point, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay,
But you do have November 1st off.
yeah, right. And maybe December.
And maybe I mean, I will, if I see things looming up that I will let you know, but
I might have to put in a variance just to take advantage of this lull.
unfortunately, we're no longer granting variances in Admiral Heights.
Well, I got other properties.
Is there any
Members
other
of the board
business?
are not allowed to apply for variances. That's another rule.
Hmm,
Is there any other business?
0 for me.
All
I
right,
move that we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
is there a second?
I second it.
Very
All in
good.
favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Julian, Kim, Jackie, Sarah, colleagues.
Thanks,
Great to have
everybody.
you aboard. Hector?
Night all.
Well,
Welcome,
I'm
Glenn.
sorry I missed your appointment. I did work that Friday night and had a very full schedule, so
Well, we would have loved to have you there, but it would be better if you were given